Hello everyone, welcome to the Planecious Leaders Walk the Talk. I am Rohit Korat, the founder of the Planecious Leaders series, where we celebrate the inspiring leaders who are driving positive change towards a more sustainable future. Today we have with us Mr. Kishore Butani, who is a co-founder of Universal Carbon Registry and Universal Water Registry, having over 16 years of experience in developing registry in trading carbon offset projects from India in the voluntary carbon market. He was also the founder of the Carbon Yatra. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's deep dive into the engaging conversation on carbon and water credit. What inspires you to create India's first voluntary carbon standard and registry through Universal Carbon Registry, and how has the journey evolved since its inception?
Yes, so good afternoon, everybody, and thanks, Rohit, for this invite. We started Universal Carbon Registry in 2021 during COVID. Like you rightly mentioned, the founders and co-founders have been part of the carbon market for over 2 decades. So we were well versed with the kind of pain points that were emerging during COVID, and there was a clear shift towards nature-based and forestry carbon credits, and Indian renewable projects, Chinese renewable projects, or majority of the renewable energy projects were being excluded from the voluntary market. Very unfairly, we felt. So we came out with the voluntary carbon standard, which is the UCR carbon offset unit standard, where we purposely designed our system to go opposite to what all the other standards were doing. So that is why we are the only standard among the few standards worldwide that look at renewables. And our motto with Universal Carbon Registry is defossilization. Our motto is not decarbonization per se. We believe that if we have to win this war on climate change, we have to switch into more cleaner and more renewable energy sources, not just finding ways to decarbonize. So you're seeing a lot of carbon storage, carbon capture, forestry type projects, but those are all sequestration type of projects. That doesn't mean that you and I, Rohit, are going to turn off our electricity tomorrow, right? We are still going to emit millions and millions of tons of carbon dioxide. So that is the reason, that was one of the primary reasons why we launched. And we thought, we'll get about 1 or 2 or 10 projects each year, we'll be happy. But we ended up becoming India's largest voluntary carbon standard in no time. So we've got more than 400 plus registrations. We've got clients all the way from Serum Institute, Delhi Metro, all the way down to the rural poor project in Nepal where they do biogas. So we have covered almost everybody in the voluntary carbon market, and we are very happy that at least we could bring about this thing of defossilization rather than only decarbonization. So our motto in is that, and our motto in, like you rightly mentioned, we've also launched Universal Water Registry. In the same way that carbon credits are generated today, we believe that that climate change is essentially a water crisis, right? As soon as there is global heating, and you've seen the kind of temperatures that worldwide we are breaking records after records every year in terms of temperature rises. The first resource that we are going to lose is water. And so before war break out over water, I think it's very important that we start incentivizing people to harvest rainwater, do groundwater recharge, recycle and reuse, because although there may be laws on this, as you know, it's not enforced, right? So there has to be an incentive mechanism for a person like you and me. Why should we do rainwater harvesting? We get our water in the tap. So we thought that just like carbon credits, we could come out with a standard for water credits. And again, that has also taken off. We've got Zydus, we've got wetland projects, we've got rainwater harvesting, we've got municipalities joining in, and now we've got inquiries from Africa as well. So touch wood, so far so good. So that was the answer to the first question about why we launched. I think there is a need, and there is a need for many other environmental products to be launched.
can you explain how the burn and tokenize functionality works and how it's revolutionizing the way carbon and water credits are traded on distributed ledger platforms?
So that's a very important question, and that is, very, very needed in today's age. So what happened? Like I told you, we saw what the pain points were in the carbon and water markets. No other standard and registry was allowing people to create blockchain tokens in carbon and water, right? So when we launched, we were wondering why were the papers not allowing? It's like NSDL issuing shares and not allowing you to trade on NSE and BSE. That was very odd. So we tried to understand why are these people who are issuing carbon credits and water credits not allowing you to take these credits live onto blockchain and create some other smarter contracts. And then we realized it was very simple because everybody else's revenue model was based on number of trades happening, right? So our revenue model is not based on number of trades, and in the blockchain there are millions and millions of trades happening every day, so or every hour. That's very different for the traditional Web2 registries and standards to follow. So that's where we realized this is not an issue about not allowing them. It was their revenue model didn't allow them to allow people to create blockchain tokens. So our revenue model is very simple. When say Rohit, you come to us and you say that my wind project should get 10 carbon credits, then we keep a certain percentage, maybe 1 carbon credit. If I keep and I issue 9 carbon credits to you, right? Something like that. So my model is based on how many credits you're asking for. And after that, I allow you to go directly onto the blockchain if you want to. There are no charges. It's free. So to do that, you require what is called a burn and tokenize, like a takeoff, right? A takeoff function. So essentially, the burn and tokenize function is the first system that we came out with, where you could take it free on chain or on the blockchain and create smarter tokens. And that became very popular because we were the only standard and registry allowing all over the world all the tokenizers to come in. And it is very important because blockchain is so important. Because as you've seen, institutional finance, you must have read about COP20. They've announced $300 billion a year, but the requirement is $1.22 trillion a year. So how are we going to get there? It is if you can target the private investors on blockchain, then you have attract more climate finance in the trillions of dollars that is needed. So I don't think we should be stopping anybody. We should be enablers, right? You have to be, climate change is a worldwide phenomena. And if tomorrow Rohit wants to take his carbon credits onto a blockchain and then fractionalize it into 10 kilos, he can only do it in Web3. You cannot do such a thing in what we do in Web2. So should I stop Rohit from trading on NSE or BSE? My job is to allow him to trade. My job is to settle the credits. And in blockchain, we were the first to allow you to go. And that is done via the burn and tokenize function. It's become, and it's free. So it is a much needed innovation for the blockchain play. And just to add, in the recent 1 year, the real world asset, like what we are talking about in the blockchain industry, water credits and carbon credits are called real world assets because they come out from a wind farm or they come out from something that is real, right? So this real world asset market has now touched about $35 billion. So you can imagine the voluntary carbon market is only $2 billion in Web2, but the RWA market has already touched $35 billion in 1 year. So we have been proved correct that the blockchain token play is the way to go forward, and so we are working towards that.
Okay, great. So in 2022, like Universal Water Registry launched the world first water credits registry. Like, what unique challenges did you face in developing standards for measuring and validating the water conservation efforts?
So the first challenge was, Rohit and audience, the first challenge is this: who is going to pay you to save water? Number one,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Who is going to pay you to harvest rainfall? I mean, you're collecting rainwater and recharging. Why should someone
Yeah,
pay you? So that was the very first uh, issue that we faced was how do we get the price discovery, right? There has to be some price. But that would have been the same case where 20 years ago, when voluntary carbon markets were first introduced, you could have asked the same thing: who's going to pay you for avoiding 1 ton of carbon into the atmosphere, right? Who's going to pay you? There was no price discovery there.
yeah,
So we are about to launch, or there are investors with us who are helping us launch marketplaces for price discovery, including in Web and Web3. So that was the very first challenge. The other challenge that we faced was there were no auditors. You have
true.
auditors in the water market who will, if you're a company and you're about to extract groundwater, you need to get the central regulators approval. So you have to do an audit of how much water you're going to remove for your company, processes, etc., etc. So in that sense, there were a lot of water auditors available, but there was no water auditor to look at how do we calculate rainwater harvesting, water conservation, groundwater recharge. So we are giving you water credits just like carbon credits for groundwater recharge, water conservation. And so it was very tough to find auditors, but now we found them. So these were the
Okay.
two big challenges.
Okay. And how do you ensure that small scale sustainability projects in the global south can effectively participate in and benefit from the carbon and water credit market?
So, Rohit, like I told you, when we launched, we went totally opposite to what all the other 40, 50 different registries and standards worldwide were doing. Number one, we
True.
were the only one based in the global south, right? Everyone
Right.
else is based in Europe, United States, Middle East. All the registries and standards are based in rich countries. Nobody is
Yeah.
based in where the problem is actually taking place. So we are the first ones in Asia to launch carbon and water. So we understood it is very expensive, as you know, to apply to these foreign standards. So we
Yeah.
said uh, we'll go opposite to everybody. So our motto is not only defossilization, but our motto is we are an alternative to everybody else. So if nobody else takes you, come over here. You might have a chance to earn water credits or carbon credits because of the speed. One is the speed of issuing your credits. Number two is the auditors are also the same auditors that you'll find in the other registries and standards. Number three is that, like I told you, we don't charge on the transaction. So if Rohit sends me a credit, I don't have to pay 10 cents to the registry. It's free. I can again then pay to somebody else. Number four is if you want to create blockchain token, I will help you create it through our registry and it's free with the blockchain, burn and token. Then there is no fee for maintaining an account. You can open a demat account on UCR, UWR free. There is no annual membership fee, account maintenance fee. All this, additional charges are not there. Plus, we don't ask the auditors to pay us a fee when they join our program. That means the auditor doesn't charge my clients extra because he doesn't have that much of overheads to pay at the end of the day. So these are the innovations where it is very cost effective for even, like I said, my smallest project is in Nepal, which is a 2 cubic or 5 cubic meter one digester. We earned
Yeah.
about only 20 credits, carbon credits. Nobody else would have taken such a project, but uh, I'm just giving you an example of how easy it is to come into our system. So we have made it very, very simple. And you will be surprised that once once we create what we are creating in the blockchain space for other investors and retail audiences, they will get a very higher price also compared to anywhere else. So touch wood, let's just hope that we can build what we are building.
Right, right, right. And so this is the most significant barrier to like faster adoption of the carbon offset projects in developing nation.
Yes, because I'll give you an example. So COP29, right? Everybody is rejoicing that Article 6.4 is now being implemented. But
right,
those who have been following it know that in 2016, before COVID, in Paris, they had agreed to launch Article 6. It took them 10 years to now launch it. So you can
right,
imagine, if you announced agreement in 2016 and in 2024 you're saying they are going to operationalize it. It's nothing to rejoice about. It's quite sad. Uh, but again, let's be honest. They've also said the majority of the funding that is required in climate finance for Africa, for Latin America, for Asia, will come from the private sector. We cannot hope
right,
institutions to, government institutions to pay that kind of money. And so they have only agreed to $300 billion, Rohit. Imagine.
okay,
You're requiring $2 trillion a year, but you have been given 300 billion only. So there is a shortfall. And if you've read the newspapers and all the media reports, India is not developed countries are not, because it is going to, you can't create mitigation efforts with just so little money.
right,
So that is why I think that uh, policies. It's good for governments to implement policies, but when it comes to actual climate action and mitigation, it is private sector and the voluntary market that will need to do its job.
right, right. Okay, so how do you envision the integration of the blockchain technology and environmental credits into the future over the next 5 years?
So already, like I told you, well, the real world asset, if those audiences that are watching or listening, if you just Google RWA, real world asset, blockchain,
Right,
you will see
right,
how fast it's growing in the last 2 years. So already today, Bitcoin is more than $98,000. So people
yeah,
now want to invest in tokens that offer some sort of a return. I
right,
think the entire blockchain market is tired of cat coins and dog coins, right? So we want
yeah,
retail audiences want a return. So that is
right,
where you can hope to create something in the blockchain space.
okay. And how do you envision water credits will help in solving global water scarcity, and how can communities benefit through this mechanism?
So Rohit, we are the first water standard and registry to give you water credits for harvesting rainwater, for groundwater recharge, for gainfully using the ETP and STP, your wastewater. Uh, so that is number one. No one else is giving you that. Number two, we are giving you water credits all the way from the year 2014. So you might have been
Wow.
doing rainwater harvesting from the year 2014. You can,
Mm,
monetize all of that
okay,
each year. So that is how we believe you can earn water credits and take it on chain and earn. We'll show you how to create investment grade tokens.
right, right, right,
That's
okay.
all I can say, because we are at the verge of developing
Yeah,
alternative retail oriented investment asset classes on blockchain,
yes, yes, yes,
water
yes.
and carbon.
Carbon gig. So, how does Universal Carbon Registry methodology differs from the other carbon standards, and why do you believe it is more effective to accelerate climate action?
So one is Rohit. I already explained the burn and tokenize feature is there.
Yeah,
Uh, we are not going to stop you from creating now. Everyone else, I don't know if you know too much about the functionalities of a carbon and water credit, but today, supposing Rohit, you want to offset your footprint, so you will buy a carbon credit and you will retire it, right? So
yeah,
every registry has a retire function. In the blockchain space, others who are asking you to retire it in Web 2 and then create tokens in Web 3. That doesn't make sense. It's like you're going to buy bullet, but the guy who's selling you bullet for your gun is removing the barood or the gunpowder. He's just giving
right,
you the casing. The gunpowder is somewhere else. So same way, you have to allow blockchain tokenizers to retire it on their platform in Web3. So that is the innovation that we have done with Burn and Tokenize, where We are showing to the Web2 space that on this time and day, Rohit has taken 10 carbon credits onto his blockchain ecosystem. And now you must follow Rohit on his blockchain ecosystem. And now it is up to Rohit to retire the credits on his ecosystem. Rohit doesn't need to come back to UCR or UWR to retire. So we have eliminated that kind of transactions multiple times where Rohit had to go from Web2 to Web3, Web3 to Web2. Instead of that, we kept it. Once Rohit takes his carbon and water credits to Web3, he's there.
Okay. Okay, so in what way does your experience with Carbon Yatra modify your strategy of designing and scaling up environmental credit systems?
Oh, I'm surprised you asked Carbon Yatra because Carbon Yatra was 2 decades ago, but everybody knows everybody has to start somewhere. Luckily for me,
Right.
Carbon Yatra was my stepping stone where again it was India's first news and services portal in Web2 where I was giving out information on who's selling his credit. In those days in 2005 and 6 and 7, all this information was not available. So I think that is what set the trend for us being innovative. Plus, we understood the pulse of the market then, and we understand the pulse of the market today also, where we know what the clients want, we know what a buyer is expecting, we know where the pitfalls are. So, we also know that the Web2 carbon and water play will not cross 2 billion, 3 billion. It's very hard for it to scale because they don't allow you to do many things, right? Whereas Web3 allows you to scale.
Okay, so coming to the next slide, which sustainable development goals do you think have been the most forgotten, and how may innovative financial mechanisms facilitate this to achieve by 2030?
SDG 1, eradication of poverty would be top of the list. There would also be there is that SDG called life on land, life underwater. You would have seen there is a movement towards elimination of plastic from the oceans,
Yes.
single-use plastic ban.
Yeah.
So these are good things that are coming. But my personal thought is that for my audience or for my clients, even in carbon and water, I want to see that day where Rohit can take his carbon and water credits and mortgage it,
Right.
or take a loan against carbon and water credits. That is the ultimate way to really create climate action. Imagine a farmer taking water credits and giving it for mortgage, or taking a loan against water credits. Then he doesn't need to mortgage land, tractor. There could be no suicide, and that would eliminate poverty to a great extent, because anybody can capture rainwater, but there is no incentive.
Yes. Absolutely right. Yeah. Okay, so what would you advise entrepreneurs and organizations entering this space and into the global environmental credit markets, especially in developing regions?
So, not only entrepreneurs, even any banks, financial institutions, wealth managers, because of what you can do on blockchain today, and because of there's so much of interest in net zero, ESG, you will definitely in the next few months see environmental attributes like carbon and water being treated as an environmental asset. So I wouldn't be surprised if you begin to invest in carbon and water credits in blockchain, because we can, I think, convert it to value assets.
Okay. So that was an inspiring and insightful conversation that we had. I hope that my audience would love to have this kind of conversation. So, okay, fine. So, this Planecious platform is for the people like who wants to learn about the sustainability and like we want to make awareness to the people about the sustainable development goals. So that's the mission and vision that we are having.
Yeah, it's a great vision,
Yeah,
yeah, Rohit. Also, there is a lot of investments in value digital assets. So
right.
these are something that we need to.
Okay. Okay. So thanks a lot. So you are based in Goa or Delhi?
Goa. I was originally, Kapin Yatra was from Bombay.
Achha.
But
Okay.
then about 20 years ago, I shifted to Goa. And my cabin is based in Delhi. But
Okay.
essentially Goa, and then whenever there are board meetings, I get to travel.
Right. So I was just going through this Universal Water Registry, I saw that Vadodara, like there is something has been some like this company is registered over there or is
Yeah.
yeah.
So we have shifted. Carbon is taking care out of Delhi, and
Achha.
water is now shifted to Baroda because we are going to be pushing the water platform first into the blockchain because carbon Rohit everybody has taken, but water
Right.
credits nobody has dared to take,
Uh,
and so we
yeah.
want to be the first to get into that market and create a lot of investment grade securities out of water. Plus, Rohit, the beauty with water credits is that one carbon project will get you typically between 10 to 20,000 carbon credits a year. One water
Right.
project gives you more than 1 lakh plus
Right.
water credits each year. So the volume is really large, and so the prices can be really low. And
Okay.
when you're launching something on blockchain, and when you're launching a security, which is a non-synthetic security, just like gold, you want it to be, where you have large volume to play with. You can't
Right.
have a market with just 10,000 units. You need a market with millions and millions of units. So
Yeah.
that's where we are about to create a decentralized market on blockchain. And when we say we, obviously our investors are going to create it. We will only be advising them, but we are very happy that water credits will easily be 5x carbon in the next 2 years.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's a great number. Okay. Thank you so much, Kishore ji. It was nice talking to you, and
Thank you, Rohit.
let's keep connecting, and I will get back to you for future
Done.
conversations. Yeah.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Look forward to.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Rohit.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Thanks.
talking to
Thank
me.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.